Okay, let's see. Yep. I think my video and my audio work now, so let's give this a try. Battlefield has already started. The first thing I did is I healed all my troops and made sure I had no marches out, because you can't enter if that's the case. There's usually a slight delay as well when you enter Battlefield. There's a few minutes where you can't do anything, but I should be good to go here. Be careful if you are smaller and you enter right away. If you're not prepared, you can get hit. Some people will park right on the end here, and they'll send a march at you before you are prepared. So make sure that you come in prepared if you are entering as a smaller player. I've got a little time, about 3 minutes before the actual thing starts. Some of the generals that I use for PvP, which are definitely not the greatest, they're works in progress. I have them up on buildings, so I'm just going to remove them. I like to have a march of each troop type. So I have a march for cavalry attack, I have one for ranged, I have one for ground. I do not have for siege. I usually leave that for defense, but a lot of players would have that. My wall general is mostly set up for ground, archer, siege, defense. Another work in progress, but he's pretty decent. I want to make sure that all my subs are actively participating in my defense, my offense. So if you're somebody that turns them off because you're a smaller player and you don't want to get hit through your subs, which is a good idea, just make sure that you are using them when you want to, because debuffs are extremely important in PvP. Got a minute and 45 seconds left. I also have to change some gear. I have, what do I have? I have one guy over here, my Trajan, that actually has my mounted attack ring, and I want to swap that out for something else. I don't know what I'm going to put on him, but I need to get that on my Baybars that I use for PvP. I mean, he's not the best, but I use him for PvP as well, so I need to be able to have as strong mounted attack as I can. Where did I get it? Where's he? Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to navigate through this menu here. Okay, here he is. Alright, so I'll swap him. He has a double drop ring right now, which is not as strong as my march size and cavalry attack ring, so I'm going to swap that out. And I guess I'll just put that same ring, the double drop ring, on my Trajan, so at least he has something, if I can find him. Alright, I think we're about ready to start. 24 seconds. There's not too many people in here, but some of the bigger players are here. The main goal... I know. See? My guys know that I hardly make these things, which is why my score isn't always that great. I think I'm about 10,000 points from just the 3 that I've made, or the 2 that I've made out of 3. I missed the first one completely, otherwise I might have possibly made All-Stars. These guys are 27 billion score? Okay, I think we've played these guys before. Alright, it has started. So looking around the map, yeah, we jumped right in here. I'm hoping they're not as small as I think they are. 27 billion seems like a gigantic size, but you compare it to us, we're 47, so the likeliness is there aren't going to be too many players in here that are massive that will give us some good PvP, unfortunately. Generally what we do is you have these teleport buildings, or the portal buildings all around, and there are a limited amount of portals that you can actually use. So you can teleport 40 times, and depending on how many portals you have, you will accumulate more teleport chances. So this will increase. If we have all of them active and we have control over them, it takes like 2 minutes before you get control over them. If you have them active and you have control, then you will have an increase. I don't know if it's like 1 per minute or something, but between all the people in your battlegrounds, it can actually, you can run out pretty quickly when people are moving around trying to hunt. At bigger levels, like where we're at right now, what ends up happening is we create little mini hives in here, and then the opponent usually does the same. We usually have like one big mini hive for us and one big mini hive for them, and then we find targets and we make massive rallies and we just try to sink all their troops. And hopefully you score more points, because in the end, the idea is to score as many points as possible and to win. There's a little misconception though. The points in the end, what I care about and what most players will care about is not necessarily winning the actual battle. That is important, and it does increase your rewards, but especially at a time like now where the battle is actually like the All-Stars preliminary stuff, your personal score matters more than actually winning. So you'll see these days a lot of people will just try to maximize the amount of points they get by wasting all their troops, getting hit, or anything like that. Let's see. So we're blue. We have that portal. Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those, unfortunately. It is really unfortunate because, well, one, it's a lot more interesting to see big battles take place, but it's also, just a 2-hour thing where you have to wait for it to end. I don't even see a whole lot of targets here. When there's an opponent that is much, much weaker than your own, sometimes what we end up doing, they only have 5 players, but you have a bunch of people that might stalk at the corner, so you'll be sitting here waiting for somebody to log in, which is crazy boring, and then when somebody logs in, you hit them. But anyway, let's see if we can get some action here. We've got 5 players jumping around somewhere. Generally, if we're facing a really hard target as well, what I'll usually do is I'll hide my cavalry, and I'll use a process called ghosting. So I'll declare war. I'll choose 60 minutes because it's the longest, and you can do it on a player. You can do it on a building that is taken by a player. You can do it on monsters, which cost stamina. The benefit to doing on monsters, if you're in Battle of Guatemala, is even though it costs stamina, they can't see what you have ghosted. If I do this, and I decide to, let's say, ghost a bunch of my T14 cavalry, let me put those guys in, they can see it. So in the alliance list, in the alliance war here, I'll be listed here with my troops displayed, so they will actually be able to see all the troops that have got hidden. But then again, when it gets crazy packed, nobody wants to be scrolling through Alliance War to look for that kind of thing. But I don't know. It depends on your preference. At this point right now, with so many players and so little players on their team, and we're just overwhelmingly powerful for them, I really don't need to ghost because nobody's going to come here and hit me. But generally, you would want to. Otherwise, a player can hit you with just an archer wave and triple their score in terms of killed. So you don't want to just lose your cavalry for no purpose. I like to keep it ghosted here, and that way when they attack me, especially with archers, I will completely decimate them. And if they try to do a rally for ground, I can just unghost and I immediately have those available, and then they'll send those ground in and my cavalry will actually be useful. Okay. I need to figure out this tab here for chat. Let's see. I want to be able to see what you guys are saying so I could possibly answer some questions since it's so dry here. Let's see. Did you lose some power during server? No. I've been around 2 billion for a month and a half. I tend to do growth spurts, so since the last consumption 1 month ago, I hit this score, which is just slightly more than 2 billion, 2.01. And then I tend to not grow at all for 2 months until the next consumption event, when, like, the next resource consumption event when I'll train more troops. So I don't know. I might do a bunch of buildings this time instead of troops, so I probably won't grow as much, but I'm guessing I'll be 2.1 in a few weeks here. Okay. How's the coffee treating me? It's not enough, honestly. Like, I was up all night talking in Discord with some people about refinement, and then I realized, oh yeah, I have a live stream in the morning, so I need more coffee than that. I'm on server 82, which has been merged a few times. So we have 82. I was originally on 40. We merged with 82, and now we're 82. And I think we got one other, I don't know, 136, somewhere around there. I can't remember. They weren't a really significant one. They were smaller, so I don't even remember them. Sucks to be those guys, I guess. For a player at level 30 or 27, is this a good strategy to let people hit you to get points? That entirely depends, Francis, on your debuffs, your buffs, and the enemy. For me, for example, if I just let myself get zeroed, I will score quite a bit of points. I will get somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000 because they'll have to rally me, full rally, several times before they get through. For a smaller player, if you don't have really... What? Do I want to consume a truce agreement? What is the game thinking here? It thinks I'm in the open world here? I didn't even realize that I was in... Okay, interesting. That's not supposed to happen. Sorry, back to your question. If you let yourself get hit as a smaller player and they are significantly stronger than you, they might kill all your troops and you kill almost nothing, get no points. So it really depends on who's hitting you. Do not get hit by somebody that is incredibly strong compared to you. A better strategy, if you have stronger players in your alliance, would be to reinforce them to get points because they probably have better debuffs and they can withhold a bigger attack or a rally against you. But if it is somebody like at an equal level as you, getting hit is awesome. You can definitely score a lot more points defensively than you can offensively in general. Hello, Oscar. Thanks for joining. Okay. Oh, good. Something's happening. Oh, God. It's King Arthur. I wish they would just, like, remove some of those PvE elements out of here because, honestly, this alliance war gets really, really messy. And the fact that as you scroll down, it starts to resort and it just bounces around everywhere, it makes you go crazy. It's completely useless in PvP. Don't even bother spending too much time trying to find what you're looking for here because by the time you find it, it's gone. The rally has happened. It's just craziness. One suggestion that I have for you guys, which is what we do, is if you are getting rallied and you're in a hive strategy like we are here, let's say OG here is getting rallied by the enemy, which is not going to happen because we don't have an enemy today. But if he is getting rallied, what he will do is he'll immediately link his coordinates in chat. He'll just share and link his coordinates. And we know, because this is the way we communicate, that he's getting rallied. That's what we use it for. So we will each quickly send a reinforcement march, and it'll be there, and then he'll have support. And that way it can be done very, very quickly rather than, typing in chat, I'm getting rallied, I need support. And then people are asking, well, where are you? And then somebody goes and links the, like, that's so long. You don't have time for that. Sometimes these rallies just happen so quickly and you don't have time to react. So just post your coordinates and make sure that your alliance knows what you're communicating. Sometimes I will post my coordinates and then I'll go take a quick look at what troops they're sending. If I see that they're sending all ranged at me, I'll just type ground, send ground, or something like that to give tips on what to reinforce. But the important thing is to get the information out as quickly as possible so you can get reinforcements at least. What's better for a young server, have all big players in one alliance or in multiple? In terms of battlegrounds, like what's best there? Well, you're not going to be facing off against your own server, so that won't have that much of an impact. You'll be facing off against people that have a similar score and a similar size generally. So that shouldn't matter too much. You just want to get really good at communicating and controlling the actual board, all the portals and the buildings. If you can get that under control, then that will make it a lot better. Oh look, there's actually some PvP happening in the PvP. Let's see. A couple of defenses. I'm getting distracted here. See, here what we're doing here. Some coordinates. So possibly there was a route. I don't think that's what they used there. But that's what we would do. We would post our coordinates and then jump into that. Let's see. What's better for a young server? Okay, I did that. I have a question. What is a good culture to go to? The better cultures for PvP are Japan, like OG here. OG here is Japan, and the reason he did that is because your subordinate city that you have that's attached to your own, like it's a subordinate city inside of your city, which is kind of a weird idea. But it takes on the same culture as your actual main keep. And so, for example, I'm Russia. I have in-city troop attack +6. If he's Japan, then he'll have marching attack, so offensive. So if you want to focus on PvP, go Japan or go Russia if you plan to be hit. If you're trying to grow and you need resources, consider either Korea for gathering, or you can consider China for in-city production, and that entirely depends on which one has more value for you. How do siege bombs work? Well, they don't work so well these days because there was a patch about 3 weeks ago that reduced the range, I believe, of lower tier siege troops. So lower tier siege troops, I'm talking about ones that are tier 11 or under. It used to be that I could send a small march of tier 1 siege with possibly layers, possibly not. And what would happen is those tier 1 siege would be targeting their tier 14 or their higher tier troops. And if I have enough buffs and attack, I missed something, didn't I? If I have enough buffs and attacks, then I would deal more point damage than them. So yes, I would lose all of my tier 1 siege, but I would kill more in terms of points than I would lose. And so you get like small increases here and there, and it would work out pretty well. Okay, I need to be focusing on this chat here for a second. It looks like we're actually doing something, but they're porting away because they don't want to be hit, which is counterproductive when you're trying to get points. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So we got some scout reports on this guy. He has 56 million troops. What I'm looking for here are the kinds of troops that he has. They're pretty spread. He's got nice layers, actually. Let's see. In terms of his buffs, he's got not actually that great buffs. Pretty average buffs. No reinforcements. And how about his debuffs? Awful. Like, because of his debuffs being this terrible, he'll be a very, very easy target. So what are we doing? I don't really need to reinforce anybody because I don't really need to be ghosting because we don't even have an opponent. But let's see if anything's happening. So what we like to do is arch cav ground, sure. And what that means is we're going to send those marches in the order that they were posted. So here's my archer. So I'm going to send that as a supplement to the attack. And the second one was cavalry. Let me load him with cavalry here. I have one preset march for each troop type in PvP. And then ground. Throw in my ground. And archer is probably hitting first, so I'm an archer right now. I want to make sure that my monarch gear is matching whatever I'm going to be hitting with. So that was the archer. Good. And I'll check how those worked. Cavalry was next. Oh, I think he canceled them. The guy ported away. Wow. And that's that's a sucky thing that people don't want to get hit, because they'll get points, we'll get points, and I mean it is early, so they'll stop porting around at some point, either because they want to get hit or because we will just keep forcing them to port, and they'll run out of teleport chances. And we need to take these portals so that they aren't getting any more chances. That's actually not good that we don't have any of these. But if we keep doing that, they'll run out of portals, and they'll just have to take it. Yeah, see, they're a little, I don't know, over defensive. They're just running. Russia culture is good. Absolutely, if you want to go Russia culture, do it. And that's what I do. I focus more on my in-city attack. So I've got a couple of Russia subs, a few purple qualities and some blue qualities. I do have these ones as well. This one is, the China is good for in-city production, so it helps my in-city production, but I also like it because of my training speed. So when I do all those big boosts for training speed, then I do have a slight increase there. And Arabia is not the strongest, but you do get an increase to hospital capacity and healing speed. And since I run so many bosses, I'm constantly healing. And my hospital capacity is useful in something like server versus server. To start PvP, do you recommend pure archers to build? I would have before debuffs were implemented into the game. Archers are fantastic for PvP, but because they're fantastic for PvP, they're also overused and people counter them very easily. So even though it's really hard to debuff archers, that's what people focus on, including myself. Let's take a look at a battle report if I can find one that has what we need. Open a bunch of stuff. Look at that. Okay. Battlefield. Let's choose one that isn't an embarrassing defensive loss. Here, I don't even know what this is. Okay. We're actually facing off against these guys in server versus server right now. They're a very strong group, and it's really nice. So let's see. Take a look at the debuffs. So I've focused mostly on ranged debuffing because ranged troops are what people tend to use. And my debuffs aren't the strongest by any means, but I'm able to reduce enough that it does really help. So if you do focus on range, just know that you're going to have a lot of PvP against players that are going to be debuffing your troops, whereas some other troops are less focused on, like ground, and ground has really, really effective and a much easier way to increase your buffs and make them very powerful. So I would recommend personally, if you're newer, focus on ground. They're a lot more forgiving in terms of PvP. Arch Cav ground. Let's try this out. Oh no, where's my archer general? Speed him up, get him home. And I would usually be much faster than this because this is super slow. I'm going really slow here. Arch, cavalry, and ground. Okay, I'm an arch. All right, let's see if they poured away. I don't even know who we're hitting. Zig. Oh, he was the one over at this portal, I think. Oh, good. So that's... Nope, he ported, of course. Right? So disappointing, these guys. And that's the thing. You know, sometimes you'll play against a group that just wants to trade punches, and those are so exciting. You can really rack up points, and they do really well too. Everybody gets a ton of general experience if they need it. but some players that you play against just keep jumping around, wasting their ports, and eventually you kill them anyway. But the problem is that our scores are just like, I'm at 188 points, which is terrible. Terrible this 30 minutes in. I mean, if I do that every 30 minutes, I'm going to have 1,000 points by the end. And really, I'm hoping to get 3, 4 minimum, 4,000. Probably stay on Europe culture because I'm only keep 25 and I'm still growing. Blaine, Europe culture is really good for when you're queuing really big builds. And that starts to happen above keep 30. Europe, if you have the gems, you can always stay away out of Europe and do something like... oh, did we actually hit? We did one. We did. He ported too slow. Okay. Yeah. So that's what it looks like. You plan for all 3 of your marches, and you take a look at what they have in their scouts, and they don't know what we're going to hit them with. We have archer, we have cavalry, we have ground. We look for any vulnerabilities that we can in their scouts. And for this guy, it looks like he was vulnerable to, I don't know, this looks like, yeah, this is archer. So we completely destroyed him. I didn't get a whole lot of points if I only got 188, which means that he got all his troops killed, and I didn't even get to shoot him. That sucks. But yeah, that's a good attack. That guy's wiped out. I was talking about Europe, so I would recommend, Blaine, that you stay with either Korea for resource gathering, or you stay with China for in-city production, and then every month or a month and a half, when you get to a consumption event and you're ready for your next keep, then you can swap, like, it's 2,000 gems to change to your other culture, and then go to Europe and queue your builds, and then come back to your main one. And that's 4,000 gold or 4,000 gems total, but it is worth it for the bigger builds. I don't think it would be worth it at keep 25, but consider starting to do that at keep 30. Before then, you might want to stay just as China or as Korea for the increased resources, because those tend to be harder to get than speed ups generally, and with the lower timer that you need for those keeps that are below 30, you tend to value resources over speed ups anyway. Okay, setting archer, join fast. Oh yeah, see, that was so fast. I'm talking and I'm distracted. Oh man, I don't like missing those. All right. Did you add only one troop type to the rally? Everything PvP is layered. You have to have layers. The layers depend on what exactly your purpose is. You at least need something for a layer. And these aren't the best setups right now. I still have to work on my layers a bit. But like, you need to have a little bit of everything. And what I find in my layers is, for your main troop type, if I'm doing an archer layer, for example, I want tier 14, but it shouldn't be my primary one. Whatever your max rank is, you definitely don't want it to be the full amount. You want to have a bit of them, but for me, tier 13 and especially tier 12 tend to give me more value in terms of their attack than the cost of them. So I get more points versus how much I will lose, just because of the way that their base attack and their defense and HP is set up. So my marches right now have layers of about 1,000. The numbers itself for the layers are not significant in a rally, but in individual PvP marches, you might want to increase the size of your layers, and you might also want to consider the counter troops. So if I look at archer, for example, the counter is ground. So I would look at what I want to counter that ground. So I would do archers and a few little bits of cavalry increased layers as well to take care of those grounds. That's generally what I do, but I will have to do a layering video at some point when I have time. Oh, this coffee's getting cold. Ew. I hate that. Better drink it quick. 1 hour, 30 minutes into this battle. What a boring battle. Like, there was so much more exciting events that happened in the last one, which I should have live streamed, because it was a really good group, and we were just sitting next to each other trading punches, and it was a really fun time. This one, not so much. Archer. Here we go. Archer, Archer. Let's see how this goes. Oh, he ported. Yep, ported, of course. In which proportion? Francis, that really depends on you. There's a lot of variation. I don't mix my troops, so it won't be significant layers. Like if I'm doing my archer, I will have archers and then really small layers of between 1,000 to 5,000 of everything else, and below tier 10, even smaller layers, because they don't matter quite as much. They just have to exist. But the counter that I'm talking about, so like archer and ground. Let's do that. And I need to quickly change this. Okay. So archer, for example, as my main troop, I'll have a counter against my counter. So the archer will have cavalry as a side unit, but it's not a big number. So I might have, for example, if I have a layer of, I don't know, it might be like 30,000 or 20,000 or 40,000 instead of the 5,000 is what the cavalry might look like. Just enough that it can tear through some of his ground as a counter, but not so much that it will reduce my main troop and then I'll do less damage. Because remember, whatever your counter troop is, it's not going to have the same buffs because you're going to be focusing on whatever the main troop type is. If that makes sense. Femto, I'll choose not to answer that, but I will tell you that many players do go that route to either have family or friends because it does supplement. It's not as significant as you might think, but it does help with resources and yes, but I'll also caution that it can be incredibly time consuming. But if you want to talk more about that, that is something I can definitely talk with you about in Discord. So I really encourage you to join the Discord. We have a lot of great discussion about just stuff in general. We had a lot of really in-depth discussion about refinement yesterday, and talking about whether to use percentages or whole numbers in your things and where it's better. So it gets pretty detailed sometimes, but also it's a great place to just get help in general. And also, if you are somebody that is experienced in some areas, then you can help other people. So we can try to build that community to support each other and just improve our game experience overall. Where are we sitting at for points? This is, like, honestly, we would normally be, I don't know, 10, 15, like triple this score. This is, like, Kranz is doing okay. And I don't know who this is. They've got, like, Christmas names. That's got to be Ixel with a name like that, possibly. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a disappointing group right now. They had 5, 6 players before. How many do they have now? 8. So they're not even around. Wall General yesterday. Go ahead and ask your question here, Femto. I mean, if you do have a question that we didn't answer. Was it? I think you were talking about what books to put on Joseph, right? I think that's what your question was. Okay, so what's going on here? Let's test it. Test what? Okay, so what they're saying is they keep porting, and let's see if we can make them port before we launch, because it costs 2,000 gems to launch a rally early, which is, you know, it'd be nice if that that didn't cost gems, because then PvP would be a lot more fun, and then you could like launch things early and unexpectedly, and but you know how it goes. Okay. So we're going to try to make these people port before we even launch, because they're scaredy cats. You're 1.1 billion and you're going to port away. Oh, just in case we actually do launch, I want to make sure that I have the correct gear on. That was my ground march. Oh, yeah, of course. He ports. Wow. I mean, you gotta be embarrassed to be this guy. Okay, let's see. What good books would you put on Joseph? Yeah, Joseph is excellent, so congrats on getting him. He's a very strong general, not only because of his skill book, but just because of his stats in general. He is awesome. Okay, so let me show you my Joseph. Let's sneak in here because we're not launching anything at this second. After you've got a max cultivated, then you can look at your skill books as well. What I use, I have siege machine attack, ranged troop range bonus, and siege machine ranged bonus. The reason that I have these is because it allows my siege and my ranged troops to attack at the maximum distance. You also want to make sure that you have the ring that has increased attack range. If you don't, somebody sends a siege ranged march at you, they'll wipe out your siege really easily, because their siege will fight first, and siege face off against siege at the beginning, so you'll lose all your siege really quickly. It's even if it's not refined perfectly, make sure you have that ring on. You don't necessarily have to have the siege machine attack if you don't have a lot of siege. You could choose to go with something like ground defense or HP. You could do archer attack. I have siege because at the time that I was building him, there were a lot of siege bombs, and I wanted to make sure that I could counter those. But I might consider in the future switching to possibly ground, because when I get hit analyzing my reports, I find that my ground is actually one of the bigger players, that it marches ahead and gets a lot of the work done. So I would like to increase that. My general itself is really based around siege, ground, and also archer. It used to be purely archer until I realized that my archers, until I am already about half zeroed already, they don't even attack. Just because all my other troops do all the damage, or they run out ahead. So I've been focusing more on increasing my ground and my siege, with a little bit of archer in there too. So for example, you'll see my my ground has increased quite a bit, and that's really what I'm trying to focus on here. I'm sure that's not anything exciting. Yeah, just King Arthur. Let's Let's see. He healed up foot. Yeah, that one's gone. I missed it. All right. Hopefully something will happen because I need some points and I've only got 200. All right. Let's see if we can do a little hunting here. Somebody's already at that portal. Somebody's here. We have lots of teleports left. This guy's already zeroed. What are you at? Oh, he's tiny. Some of you are probably thinking, oh, 450 mil, how's that tiny? But these, like, 450 million is still in the range where you can solo and kill him if you are a big player. So I don't even consider myself to be big at 2 billion because it only takes me like possibly 2 to 3 rallies to zero me in these. And that seems like craziness because 2 billion is a really big number. But I don't think you're really in the big category until you're somewhere around 4 billion. And I'm half that. There are a lot of players that are way bigger than me with much better generals, much better gear. But I also don't think that 2 billion is too shabby either. I mean, considering how much I spend, which is very little. But it depends on the size of the server, the length it's been around. I mean, this one that I'm on, I remember I started on 40, which is one of the earlier servers. So I've been on here for about 3 years. So it's about 3 years of growth. Whereas some servers that started just recently might have some players that are a billion after a month or two. Let's see what's going on. People are just doing some solo attacks. Nice job. Okay. Would my scout come back to be? Is this the one that just got killed? Oh man, I'll lose out on that. Yeah, he jumped in and took it. Oh gee, come on. Let me get something too. All right, let's check out this one here. This guy's dead. So even if you are zeroed, like these guys are actually doing a good job of portals, because even if you are completely zeroed like this guy, most of the time all you need is one troop to be able to take a portal, because people leave them defenseless. Because, I mean, you got to port around, you lose your troops out of the portal. So you can still send one troop and take over a portal or take over some buildings. Is Knight's Hall not worth taking? Like, the other buildings are good. I'll show you the quick buffs for them. Let me check first. Foot. Send that so I can get something going. All right, I'll show you the quick buffs for each of the buildings and what they are for. You can check them in details. So this one here, the Battlefield Hospital, occupy it to increase the healing speed. You get score from holding the building, and if you decide to use your healing speed ups in here to get some troops back, then it just increases the speed so you don't have to spend as many speed ups. Other buildings. We have this one, the Blessing Tower. The Blessing Tower gives you a 20% attack and defense attack. That's all your troops, and you also get score. We don't have those buildings right now, simply because we don't need them against these guys. I mean, they're just porting away anyway. But generally, you would want to take them. Knight's Hall, occupy it to let the knights attack your opponent. So for smaller players, this would be more effective. Like, if, for one thing, it can be a pain in the butt to find other people, but you can sometimes, if you have time, follow the lines to see where some of those hidden people might be, and it will lead you to wherever that player is. So here's a player, for example. who is, I'm sure, zeroed, but let's take a look. In terms of getting attacked, it's kind of like Undead March. They're not significantly powerful, so these, like, I won't take any losses, really. The only time that it would be annoying is if I was completely zeroed, and it might force me to port somewhere else that I don't want to be. And if I'm trying to take a portal, that would be annoying. But generally, the actual troops themselves are more annoying than anything. They don't do that much. But you do get points from occupying the building. The only other building, there's the crystal mines, which I'll talk about next. And then you have the main building here. I don't even know what it's called. Yay, King Arthur, thank you. It's just called Constantinople, I guess. So you get points as well for this, a little bit faster than the rest of them, but that's all it is, points. Crystal Mine, same thing, that's more about points. So you occupy it to get 1 score for every 1 minute. It's not a huge amount. Most of the points that you'll get in PvP in these battles are not from buildings, not from farming bosses in BoG. It's from PvP. So you just have to be aware of that. That despite all the interesting mechanics that they tried to do, they really fell short in terms of the design itself, because it's just extra. Oh, I was too slow. My stuff is returned. They're all full. No. Oh, he canceled it anyway. So really, it just comes down to PvP in both BoC and BoG. You just attack other players. You could spend your time jumping around, getting buildings, trying to hold that for scores, but you'll only get hundreds of points, whereas PvP will get you thousands if you're set up for it. What's happening here with you? This guy is trying to attack. She's actually a very strong player. She's lost quite a bit of troops so far, but still, I mean, you can see just from the buffs and what's left, still able to dish out quite a bit of damage. What do you have left? 1.9 billion. That's something that can be rallied. And what are you at? 915 million. Let's check you out as well. I haven't even checked, but is the chat thing that I set up working? Like, is it appearing on the screen? Because I don't have it here. Does it appear on the left of your screen? Wait, which one's which? Arch and Cav. Thanks, Francis. Okay. Archers. Cavalry. Let's see if this guy will let us hit him. Archers are set up. Good. And I'll switch it to cavalry after we attack. That actually hit. Attack lost. Let's see. Alright, but were we able to wipe out enough troops here? So, okay. It's probably pretty even though it was lost. Probably ended up pretty even. Let's see what he's got left. He he did get some reinforcements, which is perfectly fine. We'll get some points here. What kind of debuff did he have? Yeah, see, it's a pretty significant range troop debuffs. So it really cuts our damage down. But the bigger purpose here is we wiped out his cavalry, which makes it so that we wiped out his cavalry, which makes it so that our ground and our cavalry might have a chance here. So let's... Did he recall? So this one's ground. So now that we send ground at him, with his cavalry dead, our ground will wipe out all of his archers, and then our cavalry might go in and finish off the rest, or we could do it the other way around. Hopefully our cavalry will make it enough to wipe out some of his ground, and then it'll clear the floor a bit. So I don't know, what is he going to send first, because it actually matters. I want to change my stuff. I think, better check. Let's see what's happening. Hopefully they'll answer, because I need to change my monarch here. Okay, so we're sending ground first. I'm going to swap this out. See what happens. My preferred cavalry general are generals that I don't have. I'm holding out for Martinez. I would like a Martinez, especially since now he is available in tokens. I don't even know how many fragments I have. Let me take a look. Where is he? Where are you, Marty? He looks something like... That's Minamoto. I think he's in fragments. I'll be very sad if he's not. That's not him. Oh no. Am I wrong? Uh-oh. He's not. But I would prefer Martinez or, there's a couple good options. And I have some that are better than what I have. But because I typically use my cavalry for mostly bosses, I just have Baybars. I don't find it a huge increase of power to go ahead and do one of the mediocre generals I have, so I just leave it alone. When I do get a stronger general, he is. That's what I thought. Maybe I just missed it. JB says that Martinez is a fragment. I thought so. So eventually I will get him, and yeah, eventually we'll get him. And then that's where I'll focus my energy. But for now, it's just going to be Baybars. And I think this guy's zeroed now. What finished him off? It looked like our cavalry finished him off. So it's pretty much what I thought. We used our ground to clear the battlefield, and then the cavalry came in to wipe out whatever was left. Okay. Give me some points. I only have 400. Oh, man. Yeah. I get a lot more points from being zeroed because I tend to be underestimated. But these guys are not PvP players, so I don't even know how they're ranked as highly as they are to be even competing with us, because they don't do anything. Let's see, what else are you guys saying? I only have Li Jing. Yeah, I have Li Jing. I have a couple options that I could be working on for cavalry, but I choose not to invest in them because refinement stones and just the resources to get them to the same level that my Baybars is at right now, it's not a great use of my resources. I could be focusing on other generals that are a much greater significant impact on my overall play. I don't even... Oh, I must have... Yeah, I even sold all the ones I got because I was never planning to do them. Yeah, like Li Jing, I sold a couple that I had picked up. Just, I'll wait. There's other things I can work Best preferences for generals for each troop type. There's a lot of good possibilities. The ground, you probably want to look at picking up Trajan for. He's really easy to get, and he's very, very powerful, and he is available in a tavern. So that's what I usually recommend to players that are starting off. Get a Trajan. He's just too easy to get, and he is someone that can really compete in the end game. HP and defense are really, really strong for ground troops. Attack is also pretty good. So you can get him, and if you have a dragon, no, it doesn't even need a dragon. He doesn't need a dragon. But he's just really powerful. You can also look at using Scipio or some other ones. If you want to look at really good generals, one easy way to do that is just look at the general ranking and see what people use. Martinez, excellent for cavalry. Minamoto, excellent for archers. Trajan, great for ground. Scipio, great for ground. What are you using Rhaegar for? Let's click on him. Ranged, march size. Okay, so this is set up as ranged, but it's just an overall troop attack. You can really use them for anything, but I wouldn't necessarily go with Prince Rhaegar when you have other options for some of these specific troop types. There's just looking at the list. There's a lot of good generals that are possibilities. So it's really up to you, but some are really hard to get, some are easier to get, and I tend to go with what's easy and powerful just because of the availability. When I eventually get some of those other ones in token fragments or just out of pure luck, then I can look at converting. But you gotta think about what you're gonna have for a long period of time. This guy keeps healing. Maybe I should move over there, and he seems to want to just hit random people. Let's give it a shot. I'll even leave my cavalry out and go ahead and hit me. I don't think Electra is available in fragments, so you have to pay for her. That is true. Li Jing is not terrible, but again, I sold mine just because I prefer to wait for something even better. It's a big investment to work on cavalry, so I want to make sure that I do it right, because working on one general and then switching to another shortly after is just, just a waste of resources, so I'll wait. Excuse me. Let's see, what do you have left? You have lots of layers, and oh yeah, he has been healing. He's got a lot of stuff left, but it's something that can be rallied. Yeah. Okay, 2.5 billion is going to join soon. Okay, cool. What else is happening here? Let's see. My server has a coiner and used march size on Johnston. What? Okay, interesting. Yeah, you would want to use Johnston as a wall as a wall general. I mean, you could use him offensively, but you're not going to benefit from any of this. So, because it's when he's the main city defense general. Like, he'll still have good stats and stuff, but I mean, you're essentially losing out on a ton of buffs that you could potentially get. And then you look at the specialty too. Let's see. Okay, so you get the ranged troop, you get siege machine attack, but this is when he is, like this one you get the ranged attack and defense. But here, if you're working on a specialty, it's applied to main city defense general, so he has to be on the wall for those to work. This works generally. This one, can't even see it until I go in here. So this one, in city, range troop and siege machine. So half of everything that he gives you won't be active. So yeah, that's really questionable putting a a march size book on him. That's interesting. Man, these guys are just so boring. He's getting a lot of points because the only way that he's getting them is by doing solos back and forth. And that's, I mean, obviously you're going to get points that way, but you're running yourself much lower. So he's just wasting healing speeds by attacking, getting attacked, heal, attack, get attacked, heal. I don't even know how many times he's healed. Let's see. I mean, I might participate in that, except I have no chance of making all-stars because I missed one of these BoCs completely. So I am not anywhere close. I'd have to score about 6,000 points to make it. Let's see, what other questions? Any point in growing several different defense generals? JB, what you'd possibly want to do is have different generals that are not specifically defense oriented, but that are all-rounders. So like if I really wanted to, in a pinch, I could throw Trajan on my wall. He's not specifically for defense, but his buffs will apply to both. So he's my worst general by far because I haven't worked on ground at all. But like everything that he has, if I put it on the wall, it'll buff my ground. So I could. And players that have really good Trajan, they can do that, and they can effectively switch between different types. I don't have so much of a great setup for that, but that is a possibility. What you really want to focus on instead is having a PvP march of each type. It's especially if you're competing in battles like this, because you need to send the appropriate type of troop to counter the weakness or to take advantage of the weakness of your enemy. I would use Minamoto over Electra, personally. And especially since that Minamoto is much easier to get. Okay. So in 30 minutes we're gonna rally this guy? Okay. Yeah, so when it gets down to 30 minutes left, I mean, I think even these guys that are porting around a bunch and just running, they'll start to sit around because they know they're not going to win, and they might as well just get as much points as they can. Okay. I'm just sitting around doing nothing. The whole map is pretty much blue, with the exception of a crystal mine that nobody cares about. Need another coffee, I think. People are just sitting here waiting for someone to come in. What do you got? So this is the guy that has some troops. Let's see what you've got under the hood. So, okay, it looks like we are changing our hive. We've all just started moving over here just to make it easier. Keza is ready for rallies. Sounds good. So he won't move around, which is fantastic. We're going to lose a couple times, probably rallying him, but we have such a large lead that there's no way we can lose this battle anyway. I do have my wonder unlocked. Myself as a player, I'm very cautious about losing troops permanently, so I don't usually participate too much in server versus server, or when I do it very, very cautiously. So I had been neglecting getting my wonder for a very long time, and then one weekend I was like, let me just get it done. So I did that, and I do have my wonder unlocked, and I'm pretty much ready for Wonder 2 now, actually. Let me get these in and I'll show you where I'm at. What are all these? Which one's which? This is Archer, because it's Minamoto. So let's throw Archer in there. This one, guess I'm going to have to guess, that's Cavalry. It's Martinez. Throw my Cavalry in here. And this one we have Ground. Let's throw my Ground in here. And I'm just realizing that it's past 1 hour, so that means my city buffs would have expired. So I'm going to go and put those on again. I don't need march size capacity. I'm not going to spend here, but I will put these on for some extra defense, attack, and HP. All right, what's launching first? Oh man, wish you kind of told me. What's left? See, it's such a mess to look through these. I hate looking through these alliance wars. So I had my Ground on, which we didn't even use. We did Archer first. I'm guessing Ground is probably next. That's unfortunate. Arch, Cav, Ground. Okay, I guess we're doing Cav next. Just make sure that that is... Okay, so I wonder how bad we lost on the first one. Not that bad, actually, at all. Wiped out a significant amount of his troops, and here's our cavalry. And let's check out how the Ground does. Okay, cavalry didn't do a whole lot, but that's all right. And Ground. Got to be getting close to 0 now. All right, what's left? So even after us, failing 3, we still have a significant lead. So it's not a huge loss. And then in the next attack or two, we're going to make up those points by zeroing him. Cav, Ground. All right, cavalry next. I hope, yeah, I still have lots of troops actually. Cavalry and Ground. Is it good to have a siege general like Napoleon? I mean, you can absolutely, if you have a significant amount of siege and you can do damage with it, go for it. I don't, because I need my siege for defense in my city. And I also went that route because I was considering at the time doing world PvP, and if I do that, siege is a little bit harder to get back since at the time they didn't have any way to heal them. So I didn't go that route, but if you do have that and you use them a lot, then you could, absolutely. I've seen a lot of people do very effective things with siege. See, you can always fill in with siege. Any of these really, you can throw in siege and do some damage. Crans. All right. So while we're waiting for that to launch, I'll show you my wonder since you were asking. So I do have Wonder 1, and I'm pretty close to Wonder 2. So yeah, I'm just really lacking on research zones. I can always open up a bunch, like I have my warehouse or the city storage house or whatever it's called, maxed with like 400 or something million food, and then I have a ton of boxes as well that I can open. So I'll probably have like 4 billion total resources or so after I include the rewards from consumption. So that was Cav, and let me switch to ground before that launches. So I will have Wonder unlocked this consumption for sure. But that's also why I won't make too many troops, just because I'll be using what resources I do have on buildings. You got Joseph from chest. Nice. He's excellent. I got mine from that one event that happens every like 5 months where you have weeks and weeks of just things to unlock, and then at the end you get a random general. That's where I got him from. Our cavalry didn't do so great. It says that I lost 128 million power, but that means that we probably in total lost more than that. And he only lost 190 million, but we're getting close. Archers. Let's go archer. Sending foot next, and then archer. Okay. Hopefully this will finish him off. And archer. Now that we've done a few cavalry, oh, he's done. Now that we've done a few cavalry and ground marches, it's cleared off the troops that would really stop our archers from doing a lot of damage. Yeah, see, at the end, when he's only got his basic troops left and some of his ground or cavalry are wiped out, then the layers aren't completely filled anymore, and it makes it really easy to come in and do damage like 10 million versus 923 million. So the points that we lost, they've come back. Yeah, we still have a 4,000 lead here. What else? Yes, each of my march settings are set for a specific troop type. So I keep my first one here for just joining rallies. That's just a random Baybars and 5 troops of ground or cavalry. And then I'll just like switch through depending on if my Baybars is out. But this one is archer, this one is ground, and this one is cavalry. Some people have more marchers than me. I really wish that they would unlock like a bunch more, like another row, because I would like to have as many as possible, really. It's such a clunky system sometimes to have to, go in, find another general, scroll through, and then there's a delay, and it's frustrating sometimes. But I do want to have a minimum of 1 PvP march for every major troop type that I have. I'm playing on a PC because I'm streaming. I usually play on my phone, but I do have BlueStacks set up. So if you do want to know how to use BlueStacks or how to set that up, that is a great question for Discord. How close am I? I think I just hit VIP 14 a month or two ago, so I'm pretty far. How long is that going to take me? 630 VIP per day, and I still need almost 250,000. That's going to take a while. It's not going to be this year. Okay, is this King Jack finally ready? mean, he just keeps running away, but find him. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Machiavelli. We're pretty active in Discord, so if you do have questions like that, I mean, this isn't the easiest time because we're in the middle of Battle of Constantinople, but there's, even if I'm not around because I'm at work, there's tons of people in there communicating and sharing ideas. So I really encourage you to join there. I'll give a quick shout out to Offshot, who is working on improving the Discord as well. He's got a lot of experience with Discords, and he's working on bots and commands and things to link to playlists and information. So it's worthwhile to check that out, and there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up soon. Oh, I'm too slow here. Cavalry. Let's see if I can get some things in. Cavalry. Ground. I wish I would have hit that one because that's going to do a lot of damage. There's cavalry. So the reason we are doing archers first is because our archers, they're kind of like sacrifices. We're hitting him, and our archers, even though we know they're going to die, they are going to kill all of his cavalry because his cavalry are going to run out to the front of the battlefield and we'll shoot him with our little bows. Once the cavalry are dead, then it makes it easier for our ground to march and to do some damage to them, or our cavalry as well, right? So we can go in there and run, and there'll be less to stop us. We can do more damage. Does BlueStacks work on a Mac? I think so. I think they do have a Mac version, but you might have to run it in one of those Windows compatibility things on a Mac. I don't know if they have a Mac specific type, but they might. You'd have to check it out for yourself. I don't have a Mac, so I don't really know. Attacks 1. Let's see. What did we do? Oh, see? Once you take out some of the layers and some of those defensive troops, then you do battles like that. Let's see. I feel stupid. Oh good, they're trying to wake somebody up. So we can do some more points. Let's see. Oh man, I'm just not getting points in this one. 1,000. At least I've gotten over that threshold, so I'll get some more chests, but... Yeah, we've got the same amount of people, 13 and 13. It's just that we're, for some reason, facing off against somebody significantly smaller, which just, it makes it really difficult for them to have fun, but also for us, because we can't do anything. They don't have enough troops for us to do anything back and forth. And for them, they have no chance of winning. They're just simply overpowered. Like, it happens. That's just the system. JB says that there is BlueStacks on Mac. There you go. That's awesome. Femto is asking, what is a good Archer General and what do you use? I don't have a good Archer General, first. Back in, I don't know, like a year or two ago when I was thinking I would do more world PvP, this is just before they started releasing the battlefields where I could have fun and, you know, not lose troops. I was thinking, well, I need something where I'm not going to, you know, participate in server versus server or world PvP and then lose my troops and not be able to participate for a long time again. So that's why I went with Robert Lee, just to increase my death turning wounded rate, so that at the very least, if I lose a march and I have a splat on somebody, I won't lose all my troops. He's not the best Archer General. He's not even all that good. But for me, he is cultivated really well, and he does have appropriate skill books, and he's set up with gear that is pretty effective. So for that reason, I'm using him. Like, you could use Queen Jindiok if it's max cultivated and has skill books and good gear, and she'll still be effective. But, you know, like in Battlefield, what's the point of Death turning wounded when you get all your troops back anyway? It doesn't make any sense. But he's what I got. I'm holding out for Minamoto to show up one day in my general fragments, and then I'll switch to that. I think I just asked Oscar. or Oscar just asked the same question I just addressed. It's more because since I don't spend on this game, I have less options than a lot of people that spend on this game. That's the only reason. I wouldn't use Robert Lee as my ranged general if I had a choice, but I don't have anything else that would be suitable. So it's really just for that reason. Or I do have some that I could convert to be an archer general. Like, it would even be better to use one of these guys. Like, it could easily get a debuff general and use that. But would the improvement be significant enough for the investment? No, it wouldn't be. So I'll hold out for Minamoto or somebody else to show up in my my general fragments, which will happen eventually. I was complaining about Shajar for 6 months, and then look, now I'll have her in 3 more days, it seems. Hopefully they can wake this guy up so we can kill him. Doesn't everybody want to be woken up to be killed? Banchoa? Banchao? Like, no, he's not an archer general. I'll show you what he does. He's definitely somebody that you would want to use, but I have him as an Archer Tower officer. Because when he's your Archer Tower officer, he does a debuff to mounted troops, and he increases your in-city ranged troop attack. So you definitely want him. You just don't want to use him as a PvP general. You just put him on your Archer Tower. What am I waiting to get for... Well, first, I'm waiting to get my Shajar. I'm just, so close to getting her, and I'll build her as a secondary wall general because I don't want to. I mean, I haven't dropped a bubble in 2.5 years, and it's not likely that will happen again. But if you ever have an oops moment and you have Shajar and she's unequipped and she's level 1, and you're in for some pain. In my server I can sit unbubbled, and half my alliance, we're too big compared to everybody else, and they really can't do a whole lot to us. But it could happen in a server versus server. It could happen. I don't know. Like, things happen. So I want to make sure that she is fully cultivated. She's 35 and she's wearing all my wall general gear before I decide to put her on a wall. What else? What am I looking for? Martinez, I hope to get to have a world boss general and to increase my cavalry. So I would definitely be looking out for him. I want to get Minamoto for archer, and just some of the good ones in the tavern. And by tavern, I mean the tokens in the tavern. So out of these guys, Martinez for sure. Some of these guys I definitely want to get as well, but just so that I can fulfill the requirements for the general hall or whatever you call it. Minamoto I want, Martinez, and who else? I definitely want to get people like John 1. Anything that is a specific general, like a duty officer general. Where's John 1? Right here. So anything like this, I definitely want to get to, because I can put him on the archer camp and increase my training speed, and as well as my attack, defense, and HP. So those I'm definitely looking forward to getting as well. Sherman. Uh, so I do want to get Sherman as well. And the reason I want to get Sherman is because I believe he's a requirement for one of these. And I want to finish all these things off at some point. Where is Sherman? This guy? There he is. So I do want to finish all of these off. Legendary, King's Conquest, Meritocrat. I want to get them done because I'm hoping at some point to activate these last art treasures. See, this is really nice. I would like to get a permanent buff by finishing off Empress. That is going to happen right away because the only one I'm missing is Shajar, and I get her in 3 days. This would be nice as well, although I don't really care as much about this one because it's marching for siege, which I don't do. So it's not a priority, but this would be a perfect one to get as well, but I don't have any of the requirements. So I have to wait for the generals available through token fragments, and then there's one or two that I have to just hope I get luckily. So that one is, I don't know, long-term goal that could possibly never happen. Who knows? I went from 10.3 million to 5.1 this morning from coming back from the other server. Oh, yeah, those kind of moments, they are really unfortunate. You know, sometimes there's lag between movement or switching servers and in server to server, and it's dangerous sometimes. And there are times that you switch and you try to ghost, and then it just hangs, and you know that happens. Thankfully, I know this is not much consolation, but 5 million loss isn't the end of the world, and in the end, losing those troops will probably benefit you because you'll have an increase in food production. So if you don't build them back, then it'll be a net gain by losing those troops. But it is unfortunate, especially if you enjoy doing the PvP. Then you know you lost the troops, but hopefully you can heal most of those back. How many gems do you donate to a shrine every day? I usually do 6 clicks. That's what I do. And every once in a while, I also do the tributes. I'll do like a mass tribute. I'll wait for a consumption event when King's... I think it's King's Path, or... Yeah, I think it's King's Path that has it. I think day 4, where you do the offering, and I'll save it for then. But I'm not doing it anymore. I'm saving up all my tributes and my alliance points, just because eventually, not anytime soon, but eventually there will be Keep 40, and I'll want to increase my Monarch level as much as possible, and I'm already maxed. So there's not really a point in spending that. I could increase my ranking in what do you call it? The rank. So I could increase that, which is important, but I prefer to wait because Monarch level is pretty hard to get in general. I guess we're just waiting around for this dude. How about the General King of Gold, the Siege General that reduces gems to repair siege? Kevin, why is my screen just white? This is weird. I'm going to close the game and reload it. I don't like the repair factory, like using gems for siege. I like to fill that up with level 1 siege so that it never gets used. Because if it's fully, like completely full, then what happens is any dead siege will go towards the Holy Palace, and the Holy Palace basically gives you free siege back when you use the horn. So it's a lot more effective than the warehouse, the trap factory. like if you have that general, cool, but I wouldn't go out of my way to go and do that. When do you think they will implement level 40? I don't know. I think if they are smart, they'll wait, because there are a lot of players that are not level 35, and the higher they increase their keep level, the bigger distance between players, and it makes it so that, I mean, especially in this game, the level difference makes it so you just can't compete. And that's why I always say, don't even bother training troops until you get to 34, 33, 35. I mean, I would wait personally until I got to 35, because you're just slowing yourself down by building troops that you're going to lose. Because you can't compete. You can't, like, if I attack you, you could have 20 million troops, but if you're keep 30, I can wipe you out in one hit. And that's just the reality of it. So I would wait till 35. But if they increase it to keep 40 and people aren't even at 35 yet, then a lot of people just give up and quit the game, and that's just what will happen. So I think they're smart, and they are waiting on that. Despite a lot of people thinking that it's going to come around Christmas time, I don't think so. I think they're going to wait at least another 6 months before that happens. And if they were even smarter than that, they would consider a game design change that, I mean, it makes me think of like Diablo 3. One of the things that they did in that game is, instead of continuing like in World of Warcraft, where you keep increasing the level cap and then it just becomes so intimidating. You start at level 1 and there's 120 levels or 110 levels to get to the max level, and everybody's way ahead of you. If you keep increasing the level cap, it makes it hard for new players to start. So in Diablo 3, what they did is they made this thing where when you get to level 60, which was the cap, it opens a paragon system where you continue to increase your ability to get better, but in a different way. So it's not making you grow in level. Yeah, keep 40 that'll be scary for a lot of people. I just got to keep 30 and now it's keep 40. I just got to 35, now it's 40. Like, and just the amount of resources and speed ups it takes to get from 30 to 35, I can't even imagine what 40 would be like. It's just ridiculous. So I hope that they are in the process of developing something that will be different. It'll allow big players to continue to grow in the same kind of way, but it won't make it so that new players are just so intimidated that they decide to quit. Okay, it's rally time. What are we doing? JB, I'll get to that in a second. There are definitely some buildings that are neglected that I need to work on, and I'm going to deal with a couple of them around this consumption event, hopefully. I'm going to work on buildings rather than troops. And let me get to that after I figure out what we're doing here. So this is Archer. No, I'm too slow again. Come on. Ah, man. I should have sped it up. Cavalry. Nope. Archer, cavalry. This one's ground. And this one is cavalry. I don't even know if I have all these troops anymore. Oh, it looks like that one's pretty much full. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I did get returned, or I didn't? I'm confused. It said it got returned, or I thought it got returned. What do we send the foot first? Okay, let me quickly change. Give me time change. Okay. He stopped ghosting. He stopped. All right, so that means we're going back to Archer. So if he's ghosting his cavalry, then our archers hitting would be a bad idea, because they're just going to go in, walk in, and get killed. But if he is not ghosting his cavalry, our archers will come in and kill all his cavalry. and then it'll make it easier for our ground to march in. So that's our archer march, which I didn't lose any power, so it must have been pretty effective. Cavalry is next. Unfortunately, I was only able to get 500,000 cavalry in, and I probably don't even have layers, just because it was capped off. So, but this is battlefield. Who really cares? There's only 20 minutes left. Cavalry next. And let's check out how this one went. Attack lost, of course. I did 65 versus 500 million. I don't know how many points I actually got, but let's check it out. Oh, let me quickly change to ground now. The next one, 64 versus 322. And again, I probably didn't get a whole lot of points myself. But this one hopefully will work out a little better, and we'll finish him off. I don't even know how big he is. Attack lost. Oh, he's 3.2 billion. He's got a lot left. So I'm glad he was able. Now we can get some points at least. They are closing the gap just because we're doing all these splats. So we're gonna have to watch that when we get within maybe 1,500 or 1,000. We might slow down, and they can't do much. Like, they're not capable of gaining points. But I think we can probably finish him off, and we'll be okay. All right, so ground. I don't even have much of a layer left. Yeah, see, I'm running out. Did I see that correctly? It almost looked like I didn't even have layers. I need to check that out, because that would not be good if that was the case. I mean, I'll let it ride right now just because that's what it is, but I feel like my lower layers were not working. Yeah, look at that. Anything under tier 10 is not showing up. That is not good. Does that mean I don't have the troops, or that my March preset messed up again? Yeah, see, I have the troops. So something is definitely wrong there. Either that my March size has decreased, which I know isn't the case, or something wonky is happening there. Let's try cavalry. And the ground lost 83, so it's pretty even. We're just picking off minor troops here. Let's see. Secretion of what? For siege. I don't even know what he's saying. Sending cav. Secretion of cavalry. Okay. I love that translator sometimes. It just does such hilarious things. For siege. Foot cav. So this one is what? Cavalry. And here we have, this one's done. Yeah, if we actually did care about winning or losing, it would be different. But this is the All-Stars prelims, so we want to get as many points as possible, whether we lose. It's not a huge problem if we lose. A lot of the players in our alliance really need the points to be able to make the All-Stars. There's probably about 3-4 people that will make it, not including me. I missed the first one, so I'm not going to be even close, especially with the small amount of points that I'm getting here. Translators make us argue. We have some players that use text to speech and stuff, so they just like, or speech to text, I guess is what it would be, and they just talk, and then some of the things that happen are just hilarious. Okay, setting calves on king, find him. Well, he's right here, unless he ported. He ported again. I'm down to 895 million. Okay, let me check some of the questions. Buildings that I neglected. Oh. So we found them. Let me just get this going, and then I'll check. So, cavalry, here we go. I don't even know if I have these troops anymore. At 800 million, I might not even have all the troops that I need to fill these presets. But it'll fill in with my next tier of whatever I have left. Oh, it's alright. I have some. Okay, and this one is ground. Throw some ground in there. I'm going to check the... yeah, the layers are working now, finally. So I wonder why they weren't before. Ground. Of course, that guy ported. That guy's always porting. I don't know. There's only 17 minutes left. You're not going to lose anything. You might as well just let us hit you, and you might actually get enough points to win. I don't know. Buildings that I have neglected. Let's see. Prison. I've definitely not worked on my prison too much. It is, I think, 30-ish. And neglected for me is 30. So 31. Prison, I have not worked on. Holy Palace is something I want to get to 35 fairly soon. Embassy, I should increase to. That might be something I choose to work on. But I'm not too worried about getting hit, especially on our server, so that wouldn't be a priority right now. Forge, I don't really care about at the moment. What else? My hospital, like I said, I'm not afraid of getting hit on our server, but most people would want to increase that. War Hall, for boss rallies and stuff, I can solo them. I'm not too worried about that, and I'm not usually the one running PvP rallies, so that's not a priority. My pasture, art hall, and research factory are lower. Not all my tiles are beyond 33-ish. Some of them are even, some of the armor camps are lower as well. And I've neglected my wonder for sure. That's really what I've been neglecting. Oh, somebody wants to hit me. That'd be nice. He's scouting me. I better check to see if I actually have cavalry left that I need to ghost, but he might just decide to hit me, which would be fantastic. If he does, I got to make sure I'm not in my cavalry gear. I'll probably swap it to... I would normally put ground, but my ground numbers are very small at the moment. What do I actually have? Maybe I'll swap to siege or archer. Okay, here we go. You switch your monarch gear every time before sending troops into the rally. Some people believe that if you change your monarch set before you send to the rally, that's what applies. I think it's when the attack actually hits. So I make sure that I'm on the correct one when it actually hits. But I haven't had time to test it, so I'm not 100% certain which one it is. But yes, I definitely switch my monarch gear between attacks. I have different sets for ground, archer, cavalry, and then gathering, just to save time. Send archer. Okay, okay. Looks like he is getting rallied or attacked. I'm going to send you this, but that doesn't leave me a whole lot. So I'm going to double check to make sure if he's getting rallied, that's different. But otherwise, I might have to pull it back for myself because I'm not very defensible right now. I don't see him getting attacked, so I might pull that back. Okay, let's see. Why switch gear? I'm switching gear to increase my buffs so that I'm doing as much damage as possible against the enemy. Why do I still use Russia? We're doing a lot of attacking here, but I also like to take hits. Japanese subs are much harder to get. They would be nice, but unlike some other people, I'm not incredibly offensive in server versus server and other places. So I prefer to go Russia just to increase the defensive buff that I get for my troops. What level boss monsters do I normally hit? I mean, I can hit anything. Really, I can hit all the way even up to boss 15, but typically anything that is 8 or below, I'll solo just so that I can get the prestige, and then I'll rally 9 and above. But we hit a lot of the event monsters, especially like witches, golems, and that sort of thing. Everything. We'll hit lots of hydras. We'll hit all the any level, level 4, level 3. It doesn't really matter. We do everything. Kevin, if you're starting, most of the points actually come from the PvP, so I would make sure that whoever the stronger players are in your alliance are, sit close to them and reinforce them. If you are not a stronger player yourself, you can definitely look at taking portals to have more teleport chances. Even if you run out of troops, you'll be able to do that. But just have fun. That's my advice. You lose, you win. It's all good. You get your stuff back, and you'll get practice. Right? It's more an experience thing. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. Sweaty. I think you're talking about bosses, about losing cavalry. I don't lose cavalry; they just become wounded. So if I, for example, attack a boss 15, I'll take a huge amount of wounded. So we usually pad it up with that ends up being a rally, and I'll take, I don't know, between 5 to 10,000 when we rally, and I might take 60,000 if I don't. Boss 14 and 13, I don't think I take much wounded, like maybe 1,000. Boss 14, I'll take somewhere between 5 to 8, I believe, maybe 10. I don't remember. But we rally those, and people in our alliance are really good at filling it. So sometimes I take 0 wounded. It really depends. Okay, when I get attacked, the reason, I usually ghost my cavalry so that they aren't even, not all of it, but a lot of it. I will ghost it, and then if, depending on the troops that they're attacking me with, if they attack me with ground, for example, I'll unghost it right before they attack so that I can deal a lot of damage. But I don't want them to hit me with archers when my cavalry is vulnerable, because it'll just wipe out my cavalry in one hit. Like those are the times that you end up giving them maybe like 500 million points or 500 million power and only doing 20 million damage. Like it's so lopsided. So definitely ghost your cavalry when you can. Rally set on who? On this guy? What am I? Foot or siege? Oh man. Okay, rally set. Foot or siege. So I guess foot. Oh man. Was I getting marched on? I think I was just getting marched. Yeah, I did. So he saw me send, and he decided to try to take advantage of that, but he doesn't really know that my stuff at home is still pretty good. Okay. So if he's doing that, I might even consider sending, check this out. Let's see if this works. I'll send 1 troop of each of these types, so it looks like I'm sending a full march, and I'm reinforcing other people. And he might see my marches go and think I'm doing these massive reinforcements and leaving nothing at home. I don't want to use him. If you are needing to do, yeah. Oh wait, he's rallying. Oh, I thought I tricked him. If you are needing to get some general defense, like not defense, sorry, experience for your generals, putting some even 1 troop, 10 troop stuff in other players is a great way to get experience. I can sometimes get a general from level 1 to level 33, 34 just in 1 round of BoC or BoG. It's not going to be the same for everybody because you're not going to have the same troop counts and so on, but it can be really effective. No, I'm not ready. Not ready. I didn't have enough time. Shoot. Oh well, still worked out. And let's see how much points I'm at right now. Oh, man, not a good one at all. For Joseph, you definitely want to have the ranged bonus for your siege and your archer, and then the last one is up to you. You can do something like ground defense, HP, siege attack, ranged attack. It's really up to you. But you do want the range bonus, and you want to have a ranged ring for siege, if you can, on your wall general as well, so that you are not in one of those situations where a siege attack against you is going to hurt. If scouting wasn't an option, what troop type would you choose to attack with? Archers are a pretty safe bet generally. Never cavalry. That would be terrible. You could, if you have a siege general, use that, and that'll be a pretty even match most times because siege attacks siege. But I would probably go with archer if I had to go blind. But the better thing is just never go blind. You're more than welcome to do that. And if you're in here and you're looking at getting advice and things, join the Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the YouTube channel, and you can get through that way. And you can. I think there's a video as well, and I put the link at the very top. So there's only a limited amount of invites. When that runs out, I'll put up a new one. Gustavus Adolphus. Gustavus is fine. He is more suitable to be a subordinate city general. Use him that way. But in a pinch, he can be a temporary wall general if you need. My name on Discord or in real life? There's only 5 minutes left, but this place is wiped clean. There's just not a whole lot going on. It's a very low scoring one, and even despite us just throwing our troops at them, they are, they're still not going to win. But like as I said earlier, some of you guys are joining later. These guys are 27 billion in power, and we're 50, so we're pretty much double their size. They were going to have a tough time anyway. If we rally this guy, we don't have a whole lot of troops left. We wouldn't be able to finish him off. In Evony, my name is that. Okay, that works, Machiavelli. We're always working on getting a good general. You could consider also trying to get Trajan. He's good for offense or defense, especially when you're just starting off. Hades asks, I was wondering if it is worth to get T13 sieges since they changed the attack range. The attack range change is more for I think it's tier 11 and below. It doesn't affect the higher tier troops, tier 12, 13, and 14. So it shouldn't have any impact. As far as I know, that's my understanding of it. And the way that siege mechanics work anyway is when a battle starts and you have siege, they attack each other. So it's more siege versus siege. The only thing that is really changed is the ability to do the lower level siege bombs. You can't really do that so much. 3 minutes left. King Jack, are you finally going to stop hoarding? Oh, he's already zeroed. He doesn't even have anything. Oh, man. OG, you got to 4K. That's nice. That's the benefit of having them attack you. You can earn a lot more points. Me attacking, you have to hope that your troops are the ones that hit, and I didn't make a whole lot this time. Unfortunately, I usually get about 3,000 to 4,000. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty low scoring one. But I think that there should be 3 or 4 that will make it. I hope OG will make it. Kranz will definitely make it into All-Stars. And Yixo, this guy right here, he'll also make it. And quite possibly, even though he didn't show up today, I'm guessing Fitz might make it as well. He usually makes enough points. But he might not because he didn't show up. One second here. Okay. 2 minutes to go. I might as well check to see if he has anything left. A good way to set up a trap. Our alliance was advised for the low keeps to send a debuff gen with 10,000 troops, and the bigs to fill it up with higher level troops. Everybody that is setting up the trap, if you're sending a debuff general, don't just send that. Make sure you send layers too. It can be a layer of 10 troops, but the more layers you have in the overall trap, the more effective it'll be. Even in a rally, if somebody sends just one troop in a PvP rally, it's not going to be as effective as if they send one troop of every type. Come on, hit me. You have so many troops. Do something. Let's see, what else? Debuff general, they don't stack. So if everybody sends an Andrew Jackson, for example, only one of them will take effect. So if you have traps being set up, then everyone should use a different debuff general so that those skill books apply. The gear does stack, so make sure that they are filled with debuff gear. But again, even if you have everybody do that, the maximum you can debuff someone is 50% of what they have. So there is a limitation, but it's definitely helpful to debuff as much as possible. What else? Uh, 10 seconds, and then I can have a second coffee. I'm so tired today. I do want to say thank you, everyone, for showing up to ask questions and make it into a nice battlefield, despite it being incredibly, I don't know, like we had to do all the work. We did all the heavy lifting. But I do want to thank you all for showing up, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. You'll get notifications and so on of upcoming live streams. And let me know how this worked out for you. I don't usually do these live streams, but I hope it was good for you. I'm also considering in the future doing the All-Star streaming. I did get some messages on Evony whether I'd be willing to do that, so I'll possibly do that. Since I can't go myself, I'm not going to make it, but that is something that I am possibly looking forward to do as well. But it depends, right? Like this is over the holiday season, so I don't know when those All-Star games are going to happen and whether I'll be able to, but if I am, then it is something that I will very possibly do. I can't connect. Let me try opening the game again. What general do I have on my wall right now? Joseph E. Johnston. And I'll just answer the last couple questions here, and then I'm going to shut down and go have some coffee. If stream more while playing, like just general stuff, server versus server, just like when it happens, I can try to do that when I have time. With my family around, my computer is on the main floor, so they actually have to be upstairs for the time that I'm streaming, which is difficult. So I'll try to make those, but they'll usually be happening at night. Last questions: 3 Adolphus, 2 subsidies, 1 for PvP. That's fine. I would assume I would eventually put the other Adolphus in the subsidy and try to get more purposeful PvP generals, but that looks fine as well. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. I hope it was good for you, and take care. Join the Discord too. I'll put a link in the comments in a minute here. Definitely show up in the Discord. It's a great place to build a community, ask questions, and also share your own advice.